This episode of the Patriots Postgame Show is presented by DraftKings.
This is the Patriots Postgame Show presented by DraftKings.
First down,
touchdown.
Dive to the end zone. Touchdown, Patriots.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com.
Hand off to Stevenson. Runs his left big hole across the 40. Cuts left at the 45. And steamrolls the defender there.
Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And let's put a wrap on the 2024 preseason. The final from Landover, Maryland. Washington 20, New England 10. The Patriots wrap up the preseason with a 1-2 mark on the preseason. Matt Smith alongside Paul Perillo. Mike Dussault, let's get your thoughts on how you thought overall this game went. Mike, I'll start with you.
Drake Maye, good. Offensive line, bad. I guess that would be my big two takeaways. Like seeing more Drake. Thought he had some good plays. Not everything, but I think he continues to make strides, and he just shows these flashes that are really encouraging. So I think there were some encouraging plays there, but I have to just say I think the offensive line was really disconcerting how they played tonight. Huge amount of penalties, sloppy. City still got hurt, so not a lot to feel great about along the offensive line coming out of this one for me.
Paulie?
Yeah, Mike, I think, nails it. I think the number one takeaway for me would be Drake Maye, but Mike talked about it. So I'm just going to say just how sort of disconcerting it is to continue to play as sloppy as they play.
Was it 10 flags?
Tonight it was penalties. I think it was 10 for 157 yards.
Accepted penalties, by the way.
Accepted. Yeah, there were several others that were declined. The operation continues to be a mess. 2 fumbled snaps, alignment issues all night. So, like I said, my number one overriding thing is what Mike said. It's a positive. It's Drake Maye, again, showing progress. But you can't win. Like, even the touchdown drive that they had, they shot themselves in the foot throughout the drive, and Maye just kept making plays to get them out of bad situations. You can't live that way.
All right, so I guess we got to be part of the hype machine here. Chris Collinsworth was the leader of the band during the game on NBC. I think Patriots Nation is following suit. There's a decision to be made. Mike, we talked about it in the pregame show. You thought that Coach Mayo would announce it tomorrow. There was promise with Drake Maye tonight. There were some real positive signs with Drake Maye tonight. Jacoby Brissett got smoked on one play. A lot of speculation. Was he hurt? They announced, I think, during the game that he was questionable with a shoulder injury. All that stuff being aside, who's a starting quarterback when they play the Cincinnati Bengals?
Yeah, it's still Jacoby Brissett, and I can understand why people would be itching to watch Drake Maye, but it's reinforced by watching that offensive line and what happened to Jacoby Brissett. The injury is certainly significant, and that's something to monitor as we have 2 weeks. But I think they're still going to go with Jacoby. I think they're going to manage Drake. I think they're going to try to save him from some of these plays, because even like the penalties, guys getting driven back, and then we're seeing some of the lowlights here from the offensive line tonight, but it doesn't inspire confidence at all. You look at what Drake, I don't want to be overly protective of him, but I think right now is the time to protect him over these first few weeks of the season.
Right, but Paul, I know you said it's Drake's job when he's ready.
Right.
But is the team ready for Drake Maye? Meaning with this line the way it is, are you doing him a disservice by throwing him to the Wolves?
Yeah, I don't think so. I think there's a lot to be gained by playing behind, less than optimal conditions. I think that you can get a lot of – now, it's a fine line. You don't want him getting into bad habits and sort of, chucking and ducking and things like that. But I think, there's a lot to be learned by playing one. You have to get sped up a little bit with your reads and whatnot. I've seen enough. I would go with the kid right out of the chute. But
against Cincinnati.
Yeah, I don't think they will. I really don't think there's much of a shot of it, but I would. I just feel like there's enough. And that said, I said in the pregame show that I wanted to see a little offensive flow with Brissett, and I saw it. They moved the ball a little bit. In his last throw,
right on the money,
was balls perfect.
Yeah.
You can't be any better than that. He goes down, on a deep ball to KJ Osborne, puts it right on his hand. For some reason, he only put one hand up, and he didn't make the catch, but it was a perfect throw. So
Osborne's got to make that catch.
I thought there was some good signs there before he came out. I think it was like 8 plays he played. They moved it, and then when Maye came in, they had the long drive. Again, sloppy along the way, but Maye wasn't sloppy. Maye was really good in the drive.
All right, Mike.
That's a perfect throw right
nice
there.
Throw.
Good job, guys, with the highlights as usual.
So, Mike, let's try to be fair about the offensive line. They're missing their presumptive left tackle starter. We don't know what his injury status is, okay? There was a lot of mixing and matching going out there. There's no David Andrews in there. That's self-protection by the franchise that they can't afford to lose him. And the center exchanges were terrible tonight.
Yeah.
Is there a chance that it was because of the mixing and matching? I'm trying to look at. I'm trying to take a positive.
I wish I could jump on your train of positivity, Matt. But
I'm asking if
it's
possible.
Well, it's 4 illegal formation penalties.
Right.
I mean, what does that tell you?
Right.
Like, what's that? I mean, even the ref was like, again, like, what are we doing? It's kind of a trend that I've noticed too with 77 is that he just seems to get pre-snap penalties. Like, I don't know if he is having trouble focusing or what, but it's been throughout the summer. And when, Paul gets into the stuff about bad snaps, bad pre-snap penalties, he's one of the prime offenders of that, I feel like, the whole summer. So, now you have look, these guys have all played these positions before. This is kind of how you started the summer. So I don't really give them a pass. And this is what it was going to be. I mean, if you had to start the game, if the first game was today, that would have been your offensive line out there. So it's hard to overlook any of these penalties and sloppiness and those things.
I do disagree a little bit. I think Matt brings up a good point. I do think David Andrews in there does make a huge difference.
Calms a lot of
I think,
things
first
down,
of all,
yeah.
you can probably eliminate the 2 snaps. Now, I did think the snap under center I thought was on Drake. But it's going to be a different operation. And I'm not sure. I think that their plan, now, I'm not telling you it would be better, but I think their plan is Vidarian Lowe at left tackle.
Correct.
And Chooks at right tackle, and Layden Robinson wouldn't be in there. I don't think that's the starting offensive line week 1. But we'll see. Maybe Lowe's injury is more significant than what some of the reports have been, because it seems like it's not something that's going to keep him out week 1. But Layden Robinson tonight, I thought, had an opportunity to sort of take a step forward and earn a role, and I don't think he did. We'll get to some of that stuff in a second, but I do think there's a chance that Matt is right in that it might look better when Andrews is in there, and maybe some of that shuffling around contributed to the issues tonight.
We want to hear from you at 855-PATS-500, or please email us, electronic mail at webradio@patriots.com. Matt, what do you think? Is it time now for the good, the bad, and the injured? Let's let it roll.
Now it's time for the good,
Pretty good. It's pretty good.
the bad,
Hey, what happened?
and the injured.
You all right, Gay?
Okay, not a lot of good. Am I missing something good out there, Mike? Is it Maye and
No, but let's
Stop?
let's start it
I
off
got a few.
let's start it
Go
off
ahead,
with
Mike.
Go ahead, Mike, you can
let's
kick
start
it
off
off.
with Drake Maye. It's a progression, and you mentioned the touchdown that came back. I think that's just a play where it shows on the move to his left, cocked back, hits the guy open, touchdown. And Paul pointed this out at the time, it's like, how much did the illegal formation really affect that? Not at all.
Not at all.
No, that play still counts.
that
To me,
yeah.
that play still happened.
Yeah, I thought that was a great point by Paul. But this is what it is for me. And I said it on the pregame show. It's like you've got a kid who's got all the tools in the toolbox. You saw him on display tonight. Real nice throw there.
that might have been his best play, by the way.
A couple,
in my opinion.
especially where
I
there's
loved
just
that play.
chaos,
And I loved for 2 reasons, because Mike's guy was down the field.
Yeah,
Polk,
right.
that's the first time we've seen him down the field.
And not really a clean pocket. It's just it's a little murky still, and he's able to stay in there. I just think that's a great sign when you start to see quarterbacks losing their touch or getting happy feet, and they're looking down at the rush, and I don't think you're seeing that. And it's bad for the offensive line, because I felt like a lot of the passes that made tonight were like right there. Even that one, kind of a guy in his lap. It's never like step into it and uncork it. It's kind of like he's got to get it off with people around him. So I just was overall, again, impressed by him. Nice throw there to Pop. I thought maybe he could have laid that one out in front of him a little bit more, let him run into it. But overall, an encouraging night from Drake Maye, and everybody here on my Twitter X is going crazy, losing their mind. And it's like, at least you got the quarterback. At least you can feel good about the quarterback right now.
Yeah, and I would agree with Mike. It was the throw to Polk, the throw to Douglas, and then there was a throw in the next one of the later drives to Baker on a comeback that and that doesn't count the one that was wiped out to Osborne because of a penalty. How'd you put it at the end there? Like, just we got a quarterback, right?
Yeah, I mean that's like what
I
you
think
got to
it's as
grasp
simple as
onto
that.
at the moment, and I mean really, it's throwing without his shoe on. I mean, it's just guys getting
I
pushed
didn't
into
love
his
that
lap all day. You know, it's difficult, and it's good because this is kind of how it's been for him, and you know you still see him making progress despite the chaos around him.
13 for 20 for 126 and a touchdown. So
Do each of you give your good and then each of you give your bad?
yeah, we
just
do.
help me out
We
of
do
the
all.
format
We
here.
all do goods.
We go around.
Then we go.
We
Then
go
we go to
around
the
the
bads.
horn.
So obviously Mike took Drake May. I'm going to put Antonio Gibson on my good list. I thought he came out with
Something different I like.
with a flash at the start. He had a couple of solid runs. Let's see what he ended up with. 3 runs for 17 yards, so that's a good, healthy 5.7 yard average. And then he had a big catch to convert the first third down of the night from Jacoby Brissett. That's his job. He's a third down back, so when they go with those passing looks, he's supposed to take advantage as a runner and passer. I thought he did. I thought he ran with some toughness. He ran hard, and I thought the catch is what he's here for.
Yeah.
On third down, they beat the blitz. Beautiful play right there.
Move the sticks.
So I thought he gave a little bit of a flash on those first series or so. Right, it's a good third down conversion
No
right
question. Great job in the highlights. All right, Mike.
Mike,
any other
there.
good?
Matt, you're
No,
supposed
you-
to come
you
up with
can go
some
ahead,
too.
Matt. You got
I know
a good player?
you're immune to opinions, but you are not going to just ride by. This is not a group project that you're going to Jason Tatum it and get a gold medal on without doing anything.
Look, I think you're digging deep to try to get where you added Robinson as a good. I think the good starts with.
I didn't add
No, I'm
Robinson. as
sorry.
a good.
Who?
He's coming up later.
Okay, I think the good stops with Drake May.
Gibson, right.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Mike, you have any more goods?
I can give some more goods.
Fred would not agree. Fred probably would have 17, 18 more.
Yeah, I like. It's tough to take a lot of positives out of this other than Drake May. It really is. I'm sorry.
No, I'm gonna put Michael Hasty on there. I mean,
you know
I
what?
want to get
Another
down
running back.
into we're into the weeds a little bit, but I just think there's a guy who didn't really know what we have, and I think he looks really comfortable in this offense. He looks, he's got some wiggle to him. He's kind of like that slashing running style. It's a little different, closer to Gibson, but a little bit different than the rest of the guys in the room. So, in terms of his night, 4 carries, 21 yards. 3 catches for 24 yards. Nothing crazy, but he's involved, and I think he's a guy that tonight you look at him and you say, I think we can do something with this guy.
Mike,
So
I had him on
Hasty
too. Same kind of stuff that I said about Gibson. He was a little later in the game. That's why I went with Gibson first. I also had 2 linebackers on my list that not necessarily the front line guys, but Joe Giles Harris and the other guy with 3
Ellis?
names.
Oh. William Bradley
King.
Bradley King.
Thank you, Mike.
3 first names. Oh,
I feel like I'm Kevin Mannix in the old day. I'm Ron Hobson in the old days, and he's Kevin Mannix. He has to
What's his name?
finish my
Azizi Hearn.
the touchdown twins. He has to finish my sentences for me. I thought both of those guys were pretty active as well. And it wasn't perfect for Giles Harris. He had the nice pick here where he cuts underneath, makes a nice play on the ball on Jeff Driscoll, but he also had a couple where he's slamming down on zone reads. But I just like his motor. He looks like he's a pretty active linebacker. I keep using the word active.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that's the best way I have to describe him. I thought those 2 guys showed up a little bit, 44 and 52.
Yeah.
All right, before we get to the bads, I'm going to.
You just don't have anything else to be
little,
happy about, huh?
hit a little electronic mail here, which I thought is decent. This is coming to us from Alex from Montreal. By the way, big presence in Canada in the pre and the post game show.
Oh yeah.
They said, welcome Matt to the post-game show. That's not why I'm reading it. But not to overreact during the preseason, but our off-season veteran additions to the offensive line played miserably again. Even the referee poked fun for our presumed starting tackle. Is there anything Elliott Wolf can do at the cutdown date to reinforce the offensive line? Is there? So I think that's a legitimate question here that Alex is asking. But is there all of a sudden going to be some panacea at the cutdown date where you're going to find a starting left tackle? That seems unrealistic.
Yeah.
Can they add some depth and guys that can maybe push and help
Well, they
hold the fort down for a little bit?
I mean, maybe we'll see who gets released, but I mean, at the end of the day, I think you're still looking at the same kind of guys that you're
They're
kind
being
of
cut for a reason.
you're kind of crossing your fingers and holding your nose and saying maybe this will work out. It's not going to happen that someone is going to be available. That is an improvement at the 2 starting tackle spots. There's not starting tackles available in late August. It's not going to happen. So I mean, we made the example last year. They were in panic mode last year. They had to go out. What'd they get? Tyrone Wheatley.
Right.
And they got Vidarian Lowe. And, both those guys, I mean.
Andy Anderson.
Yeah. Well, Anderson was,
Anderson was a free agent.
No, I know.
But,
right.
that.
But at this time of year, that's the kind of guy typically you're getting. Now, the one, I don't know, the Trent Williams situation, if that hasn't been resolved, right? Did I miss that? But, I mean, I don't really think it's realistic that the Patriots would be in a position to do something like that if San Francisco can't figure it out. But typically, I think Mike is right. Like, if you're going to get a guy that is available, it's, a late-round draft pick from someone that didn't catch on, and maybe you're trying to see if you can develop him. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't take a shot with a guy like that. Like last year, they, with Belichick picked up Lowe and Wheatley, given the state that their offensive line was in, that was worth a shot. See if you can develop them. And who knows? Maybe they did with one of them, with Lowe. But I don't really think you got a guy that you're going to say, well, he's better than a core four. We're going to play him now.
Let me make one more point. Like, Calvin Anderson, they got him last offseason, but it's, he's the same kind of guy. All these guys were like the third tackle or
Twiners.
Played a little bit.
Right. Most of them are like fourth.
Every single tackle that they have is like a project in some way. Ever since they got away from having stability at those two positions, and I mean, it just, it drives you crazy. As much as you can get on them about not having weapons, it's letting the tires go bald on your car, right? Like that's the comp I always make of offensive linemen. You don't want to buy tires for your car, but if you don't, your car ain't going anywhere. And I just feel like they have been trying this spare tire. That's instead of just go down to who's our partner, Sullivan Tire. Go down to Sullivan Tire, buy some new tires, buy a Bridgestone at Sullivan Tire, because that's what they've gotten away from, and I unfortunately they're paying for it, and it's going to hurt this year.
So I assume we can go across the board with the top of the bads and say that it's the offensive line as we're piling on to that. That's as obvious as the nose on our face. So, Paul, here's my question about that. You're in a bad spot here as we're really talking about it. What do they do? Because to me, there's a short-term and a long-term situation here. You got to line guys up, 5 of them, to play against the Cincinnati Bengals in 10 days, okay? It might not be what you really want to do. Is the hope that Wallace and Robinson get up to speed sooner rather than later? And is that the offensive line's version of Drake Maye, that we, pass the baton to them hopefully soon, so that can solidify what's right now really holding this team back?
Yeah, I would say that by the end of the year, if those two guys can be starters, I think you'd be okay with it. Tonight was a real step back in that regard. You saw Caden Wallace out there very late, not looking great, and I thought Layden Robinson really struggled throughout. He's probably the one that I have on the top of my list, but this is something I want to get off my chest, because you know how I can get a little bit snarky. Mike, I know it's true.
I've heard that. I haven't experienced it.
I can be a little stubborn, and I can be a little snarky. I've been sort of in the thing with Evan about, well, they have an offensive line coach now. And I keep saying, yeah, at this time last year we had an offensive line coach too. Remember, we were really disappointed with the whole Matt Patricia experience from 2022. Offensive line / offensive coordinator, never really been on offense. Well, last year when we got Adrian Clem, everybody was like, well, we got an offensive line coach. It was a disaster. Didn't work. And everybody's the same place this year. It's Scott Peters. We got him. 4 alignment issues tonight. False starts in every game. That's coaching.
Correct.
So why is everybody so certain that the offensive line coach is the panacea, to steal your word, Matt, to everything that ails the offensive line? Like, I haven't seen anything yet to show me that that's a really cohesive unit. I saw the first sack that killed Brissett tonight, where City So is trying to get out and get the rusher off the edge. Layden Robinson is pushed into the backfield. He ends up colliding. So ends up colliding with Jermichael Hasty, and meanwhile, your starting quarterback gets killed. Or kilt, as I like to say.
Right.
So, that's partly coaching. This is guys not necessarily getting where they need to go. Now, in Robinson's case, it's poor execution, but otherwise, it looked like guys just running aimlessly.
Right.
So I think Scott Peters knows what he's doing. I think he tutored under one of the best offensive line coaches of all time, in Bill Callahan. Okay? So I think the guy knows what he's doing, too. I have hope that it will get better. But I don't just automatically say it's better until I see it get better, and it hasn't looked better at all this summer.
Yeah. No, I mean, you can't argue with it. You can't argue with it. I guess my only, not rebuttal, my only pushback from my perspective is that what we know now, did they even want Adrian Clem? Did Adrian Clem even know how he fit into that system last year? That's my question. Whereas with Scott Peters, he came with Van Pelt. You figured that there would be some continuity there. Now, the proof is in the pudding. So, I mean, Paul is, absolutely right. This has been sloppy all year. I think we saw, so I think Chris Price tweeted out that he was laying into them. Scott Peters was laying into the offensive line, and deservedly so. But, I mean, this is kind of what it looked like against Philly's starters.
Correct.
Not Washington's backups.
Right.
It looked like that against Washington's backups, too.
I thought Chris Collinsworth did a good job early on when he said this should be an advantage for the Patriots as they've got starting caliber players going up against Washington's second and third, and that's really right as Brissett got
2
slaughtered.
weeks in a row. They opened the game in that manner with your not I want to say it's not 11, but with the bulk of your starters against all backups. Yeah. And the best you could do was win by a touchdown in both of those games, for an extended period of time. You really should be pushing around backups.
Yeah. It's a bad sign on the offensive line. I mean, I don't know how to sugarcoat it, because we saw what it looked like with Philly starters. And Philly starters in joint practice, of course, they're very good.
Yep.
But watching them get pushed around last week by the Eagles backups, that PJ Mustafar guy would handling our starting guards, and now, these guys are out there. So I don't know what the answer is, Matt. I wanted to say that it would be Caden Wallace, but at this point I feel like they believe in Vidarian Lowe for whatever reason, and that they need to get him back and to put Okorafor back on the right side. But I have no confidence that they're going to get through the Cincinnati game in 2 weeks without multiple penalties that are just unnecessary and stupid that hurt them.
855-PATS-500. We're going to go to the phone lines. Let's see. Chris in New Hampshire has waited patiently. Chris, good evening. You're on the Patriots postgame show. Hello, Chris.
Hey guys, love the show. Thanks for taking my call.
Thanks, Chris.
Just a quick thought here. Not sure if you guys noticed it or if I'm just nitpicking, but I kind of noticed Pop Douglas at times tried to do a little bit too much of shaking and baking rather than just committing, in which led to no gaining yards. I'll hang up and listen to your thoughts. Thanks for taking the call.
I mean, again, I don't think these plays were really well executed. He's in the middle of a bunch of trash, and it's not his game. I think these plays exacerbate his size and his, he's not going to operate where that one screen pass they tried to throw to him where everybody was just, he had no hope.
He had one catch for 16 yards on a third down.
Yeah,
that was a conventional play, and then they threw a couple of screens to him. You're supposed to shake and bake on screens. There was nothing there. He didn't get anything. He ended up losing yards on them. But I didn't really look. I didn't think that he did a bad job of picking up yards after the catch. I just thought
it's in a bad spot.
There were a couple of short throws that he had nothing available.
On the email line, webradio@patriots.com, Yuri from Brazil. Oh, sorry, that's me. Is that me, Matt? I apologize. Yuri from Brazil. Maybe our investment in an international market is paying off. Yuri from Brazil writes, Maye running in a preseason game? Really? Double question marks? That was risky and unnecessary. Now, that actually, clearly there wasn't a lot of protection, but I actually thought that was a smart move by Maye on that play.
He's got to try to get a drive going. I don't want to see that. Like, if I had, listen, I loved it. This drive was just a 90-yard touchdown drive, right? So
88.
When they're going to put together stuff in this preseason, Matt, sometimes they ask you to put together a little highlight package of the preseason. This drive's going to be on it because it's really the only one that they had.
No question.
Okay, so I'm not nitpicking. I would have much rather have seen him right here, find somebody open, rip it, and get the first down that way. I don't want to see this in a preseason game. Now, I definitely don't want to see him diving forward head first in a preseason game, but this is what they're going to have to do to move the chains sometimes. You get used to it. You have a quarterback who's an athlete now, and he can do this. And this is something that the last guy couldn't do.
And his instincts are going to take over here, Paul. And his instincts took over there.
You got to do it.
Right.
You got to have it. I had some more bad stuff.
Okay.
I don't know about you.
I was going to ask you if how much more bad do we need?
Keep it rolling. Keep it rolling.
The offensive line, obviously, everybody. I don't think anybody was immune. You had Leverett with the snaps. You had Owenu and Okorafor with formation penalties. Layden Robinson and City So with some protection issues, and then So ends up getting hurt. But I thought we talked a lot about guys that could make the team. Mike, what was the way you put it on the bubble?
On the bubble, yeah. Something. I don't know.
Ball in the bubble.
Ball out on the bubble.
Ball out on the bubble.
Yeah.
I thought there was, a number of young defensive backs that had a chance to play a lot and make some plays, and I didn't really see a lot of plays.
No.
Marcellus Dio with a couple of penalties. Azizi Hearn with a couple of penalties. Alex Austin giving up some catches. I thought Sean Wade played pretty well out of that group, but I thought there was some up and down from even Marco Wilson, who I think started, gave up, I think, a first down catch on the first drive. So I thought there's a lot of battles going on for, say, a fourth, fifth corner,
Nobody
and I didn't
seized
think
it.
anybody really
Yeah.
grabbed a hold of it.
No, I agree. I mean, that's the same thing in the secondary.
Isaiah
It felt like going
Bolden was
around.
another one that was involved in some of that stuff. I think
Chance
he had
for
a
an
chance for a
interception
pick.
almost. Didn't get it.
On the field a lot and
jumped
didn't
an
do
out route.
anything.
Yeah.
Had opportunities and do anything with it.
It's
Did you have
disappointing.
like anything that stood out to you?
Yeah, well, I mean, otherwise than your guys, or
Yeah,
I mean,
in
Javon
addition.
Baker again. I mean, it's the same mistakes, and it's
Stepping out of bounds for no reason.
Did have a nice catch down the
he
end.
Did, he
but it
did
was
bounce back with a nice catch.
Seven targets, 2 catches.
right.
Right, and it's just that's the same story with Javon
Inconsistent.
Baker. They throw the ball to him, he doesn't catch it. They're not
Correct.
able to make the plays, and it's disappointing because I think the kid does have some talent, but right now it is what it is. Expectations aside, he's a 6th-round pick, and he's not really able to click right now in the offense.
Let's go to Ethan in California. Ethan, you're next on Patriots Postgame. Hello, Ethan.
Hello.
Hey,
Hi.
Sir, to me?
Yes.
Yes, you're on the air.
So, because I am a good quarterback, Patriots. I am good.
Okay.
Okay. So, Ethan, thanks for your call. Let's go to Sam in the Carolinas.
what is that?
I don't know. Matt,
Hit that drop.
is that you? Okay. Did we go to Sam in the Carolinas? He's gone. Let's go to Trey in Tampa. Trey, you're next on Patriots Postgame.
Hey, thank y'all for having me on. I thought I might have been banned after my call last week coming at Fred. So I appreciate y'all allowing me to rejoin.
You're the best.
But I just want to say I caught myself a couple times watching this game with Mac Jones' goggles on. A couple throws that Drake May's capable of making that Mac wasn't capable of making. I kind of cringed a little bit, and I remembered, okay, we have a quarterback that's actually capable of making those throws. That throw out to Kevin Harris in the flat, while it doesn't seem like much, you put some mustard and sauerkraut on that dog. I feel like Mac with that defender crack.
Okay, we lost him midway call. Paul, on that particular throw, you had a nice observation during it where you questioned the decision-making a little bit, or maybe it was the execution of the
Yeah, I
play.
think it might have been a different one that he completed to Hasty, where he kind of did the thing that I
The
can't
thing.
stand. It's one thing to pump, but then the throw, like the pump is
Goes
normal,
sidearm.
and then the throw is like half speed. And, maybe he saw it through and saw the coverage and saw how open Hasty was because he ended up catching it and picking up the first down. So maybe he saw it enough. I saw that throw a lot this summer, and it never really looked good. So I'd like to see him sort of table that throw. The one to the flat, I think Trey described it right. I agree. It's a dangerous throw, but he put enough on it. He got away with it. They've run a lot of those kinds of throws, Mike, wouldn't you say, in the 20, whatever, 18, 19 practices that we saw.
Yep.
And none of them really seem to get picked off. They all get there somehow. But there's a guy there that could make the play-ish, but, both Brissett and Maye, I think, have gotten away with that throw a lot.
Yeah.
Jason emails, I don't want Drake to get killed by this horrible offensive line. Start Brissett, and if he gets hurt, let Zappy run the show. So
That might happen.
It's
Who knows?
It's an interesting take from a fan who I think maybe might be on board with this. Let's let the process play out a little bit, Mike.
I was a little surprised Zappy didn't go in. I mean, this is like the third time in Zappy's career. They're like 2 minutes left. I'm like, okay, now you can go. Like, it always just seems
And
weird.
they didn't
to
let
me.
him throw.
Yeah, and they just hand it off. Like,
Yeah.
just go in there and hand off. I don't know.
Is it
seems
because
weird to
they
me.
know what they've got in Bailey Zappi, Mike?
Yeah,
Is there a
probably.
possibility, I asked this to Paul as we're walking in here, is it not only that they know what they've got, is there is it possible that they said, look, you're going to be on the team. We need to see what these other guys can do. And does that reinforce the position that maybe they might keep 4 quarterbacks?
Yeah, I mean, it's they certainly weren't trying to showcase him or anything like that. I mean, I think the league knows what he is, and that first game he got, all the snaps pretty much, right? I mean, he was playing most of the game, so yeah, I think that the signs still kind of make me think they might find a way to keep Bailey Zappi around, especially like back to Paul's point. Nobody really on the bubble really. Like I thought Hasty was pretty good, but otherwise, like Keyshawn Booty, where was he tonight?
Nope.
Like, I didn't see him. Jalen Reagor, I know he was out there kind of late too. I mean, you got the Matt Landers guy coming up with the one big play. So I don't know. There's not a lot of guys right now, again, that I'm banging the table for that we got to keep. And again, Bailey Zappi, I know that he is what he is, but there is some value there, especially now when you're looking at Jacoby Brissett with a questionable shoulder injury.
And Paul, you made the point, you're not interested in picking up, and I'm just using this guy because he's a little bit of a name. He caught lightning in the bottle a year or so ago. Mike White's on the street right now, and there's a name. And you're saying, I don't want somebody else's quarterback because it's going to take him a whole who knows how long to get up to speed in the system.
Yeah, I don't have intimate knowledge of Mike White to know if he's got any familiarity with this system. And if he did, then, maybe that would be worth a conversation. Just on the surface, I'm in the minority in this. A lot of people disagree. I think you can get quarterbacks through waivers for the most part because of that reason. I think it's really hard for a quarterback to spend an entire offseason with a new system and pick it up. I mean, we talked about it all the time with Mac Jones, like, oh, he's done 3 offenses in 3 years. But then we're just going to get like Mike White and plug him in, with no... Like, I'll just keep Bailey Zappi.
Yeah.
Mike White's not any better than Bailey Zappi.
Right.
And Bailey Zappi's not any better than Mike White, to Matt's point.
Right.
I've seen both of those guys have successful games, but nothing of any consequence for any consistent level. It's like people talk about the Vikings. They had J.J. McCarthy go down. Sam Darnold was probably going to start the season anyway, but now he has to start. And they have, I think, Nick Mullins and Jaron Hall. Uh-huh. With their other 2 quarterbacks, and people are like, well, why don't they deal Bailey Zappi to the Vikings for a 5th-round pick? I'm like, because they already have Bailey Zappi on their roster twice.
Right.
Like, why, and he's been in their system.
Especially when exactly. And I mean, when you've had the guy already here, you've already put into him, like, there's already established level of communication that you have with him that he understands what you're going to be talking about. And it's just a break in case of emergency, break glass, like that's what you're getting for. So what are you really expecting out of that guy anyway? I think you'd probably just want to make it easy on the communication. So, and then,
the argument for having, like, let's say it was Mike White. So the argument for wanting to get Mike White was so you have a quasi-veteran backup quarterback. Well, now, like, if he's on your roster in week 1 in Cincinnati, can he be the backup? If he spent 10 days with the Patriots, could he be your backup?
Is he going to be better than Bailey Zappi in 10 days? I mean, even with Bailey Zappi being Bailey Zappi?
So I do wonder what Matt's point to me coming down, like, you don't want to get him hurt. You know what he is. And maybe they are just planning on keeping him, at least for the short term. And then, maybe make a move after that. I still think he'll probably go, but Matt made me think about it as, a second way.
I mean, I think with your position, just try to get him in the practice squad. And if you lose him, you lose him. We're not going to get a roster spot to him.
I would certainly understand, and most of the people I've said put him on the practice squad have said, why the hell would he sign? And I don't have an answer.
Yeah. Before we get to the injured, Ivan writes to Paul, as a matter of fact. Ivan writes, Drake Maye should start, multiple question marks, exclamation points. Oh. He will get killed, absolutely pathetic offensive line. So Ivan weighing in on the Drake Maye should start.
That might
he
be
did get killed tonight.
It might be Ivan Fierce.
Can the offensive line play any worse than it did tonight?
Hard pressed.
Hard pressed. 90-yard drive.
So I understand the reservations because the offensive line is bad, but when are you going to feel really great about everything?
I hope at some point, but I don't know if ever.
So I'll tell you one. I left out one good right here. Let's go. This is the over-unders right here.
Oh, how do we do?
Paul 6-0, Mike 6-0, no socks 5-1.
Not bad.
Really good night on the over-unders, boys.
Let's finish up here in the good, bad, and the injured with the injured, and I think we need to start with the quarterback and Jacoby Brissett.
Yep.
Certainly NBC had a great shot of him with that wince as he was trying to come off the field. That didn't look good.
No.
Now, the armchair doctors, as they're sitting there watching everything afterwards, didn't look like he went in for any kind of x-rays. Didn't see a lot of treatment on the sideline. He stood in the rest of the game and was in there. It was a little bit later when they announced via NBC that he was questionable to return with the shoulder injury. How much of a factor do you think this injury is going to be, and does that play a role in who plays against Cincinnati?
Well, that definitely would if he's hurt. I mean, I would
Do
say
you
the
think he is-
signs.
is
No,
it-
I think the signs. I mean, if there was something serious, I think he would have had a lot of activity around him, and there would have been a lot of concern.
Don't you think he would have come out of the game?
Yeah, I mean, well, didn't he? Isn't that he only threw like 2 more passes, and then that was it. And he checked that pass up, and he put some good juice on it. So
Yeah, he stayed in the game for the next 2 plays, and
I'm optimistic he'll be okay, but it certainly doesn't help matters. I mean,
No.
you got a couple days off, but I mean, you're gonna want to get some practices in this week. Is he going to be limited? Is he, gonna have to give some snaps up to Drake? I mean, it does complicate things a little bit.
does that accelerate the process to get Maye in there?
Maybe $1 million injury.
The other injury of the next injury of note, I think we'd have to say is City So.
Yep.
Right? Who
Yeah.
guy seems to have been penciled in as going to be one of their starting interior offensive
Absolutely.
linemen. He went down, looked like it was a foot problem and everything like that. Again, they've got so much problems on the offensive line. If a guy that you're kind of counting on goes down, it's just more mix and match.
Yeah.
Not good.
Yeah, they announced ankle, and they announced him out, which I thought was interesting. Watching the replay, it was hard to see
How
exactly
it happened.
what happened.
Right.
But it's that, obviously he's holding his right ankle there. I kind of worried. Yeah.
It's hard to see.
I'm a little worried about this, to be honest with you. The fact that they announced him out, and it doesn't look like it rolled.
Achilles.
Yeah, that's what I think of.
Kind of grabbed the back of it too.
See how he's kind of like flexing it there a little bit?
Is that what happens?
Yeah.
So this is what happens.
And they're holding the back of the calf there.
Paul knows the test.
And just so you know, Monday Night Football last year, the Jets initially said ankle.
Yeah, technically Achilles is at the ankle.
And I'm not telling you that's what it is. I'm a little worried that they announced him as out. Whereas Brissett, we knew Brissett wasn't coming back in the game.
Yeah.
So they
Unlikely.
easily could have said, but he was they announced him as questionable.
He was in this mode, Paul, right?
He was. Well, he immediately had the headphone on, and he was communicating with Maye during that time. I don't know. I don't want to put any alarm bells, but I agree with Matt. I think he is penciled in for a starting job at left guard. That would be a blow.
Yeah.
Because Cole Strange is not going to be ready to go for a while.
No.
Yeah, and they have been looking a little bit with Michael Jordan, and I mean there has been some rotation with City. He hasn't been completely, immovable as the left guard, but yeah, it's just.
That probably puts Robinson in. Or maybe they feel better about Leverett at guard.
Maybe
Than Sutherland, but
not snapping.
No,
but Leverett too was guarded in Tampa, so he's got some playing experience there in the NFL.
Did we cover the injured?
Christian Ellis looked like he got banged up.
Concussion?
It looked to me like
I think
head.
it was. I think
Was
that's
that announced?
Did they
by the
announce
way?
it as a head?
I think it might have been announced. Yeah.
And Joe Giles Harris needed some help too, but I think he came back.
Good to break.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So on that, we finished with the good, bad, and the injured. We've got emails. We've got phones. Please, we want to hear from you. 855-PATS-500. Webradio at patriots.com. Let's take a break. A reminder that the Patriots postgame show is presented by DraftKings.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
oh no!
Replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATCH-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com. Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
And welcome back to the Patriots postgame show. Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. Zach from Freiburg, Maine, writes in as we head into week one. Tough question here, but I appreciate the effort. What are you most excited about with the Patriots? Mike Dussault will start.
Drake Maye, but just real quick, Christopher Price saying City So left the locker room in a walking boot. Can you walk with a torn Achilles?
Walking boot?
Walking boot.
That would track.
The boot.
Let's hope it's like a high ankle sprain.
Yeah.
Now, that's still a serious injury, but it's not a season ender or anything like that.
Yeah. So I'm sorry. What am I excited?
What are you most excited about in your Drake Maye?
Oh, Drake Maye, yeah.
Right.
I mean, 100%. Like, and that's, every time we watch him, it continues to be reinforced that he can do what we need him to do. You just have to wonder how far away the team around him is. And, it's real hard to truly, know at this point. I mean, it's you don't feel positive about it. And to be honest, you're looking at how you've seen things in the preseason and imagining that going into the regular season. It's hard to make a leap of faith that it's going to suddenly look completely different than what we saw in the joint practice against Philly, in the game against Philly, and now in this game tonight. I mean, it's unfortunate because I think the offensive line is where it all starts, and if they can't get that right, it's going to be a really long year.
So Zach follows that up. What is your biggest fear? And Paul, I would suggest the biggest fear, while it's easy to say the offensive line, it's that the biggest thing that you have hope for and you're excited about Drake Maye, your biggest fear is that the rest of the team isn't ready to help Drake Maye. That's what I would say would be my biggest fear.
Like variations of things around Drake
Between
Maye.
the skill position players, the offensive line.
I would say probably, if I was going to say my biggest fear, I would say that Maye isn't ready. Like, we're seeing success just strictly based on his God-given ability, but when he needs to game plan, read a defense, and attack the adjustments, that he's not ready for that. That would be my biggest fear. Like, this isn't like this isn't anything like what he's going to see in a regular season game tonight. Collinsworth, I thought, made that abundantly clear, despite declaring him the people's champion in the first quarter. I thought he several times said how the Patriots were sort of playing a little bit harder and with more intensity than the Commanders were. So that would be my biggest fear. If I had to say my biggest hope beyond the obvious of Maye, I would say, like, reason for optimism. I kind of think that their defensive coaching staff looks like they have an idea. Like, they look like they're pretty multiple in some of the things that they do, and they've been aggressive and they've disguised some things. I think they've really swarmed to the ball in the preseason in every game. I thought they had a lot of hats around the ball, Mike.
I like that.
That kind of
Old
stuff.
ball coach.
So it looks like DeMarcus Covington. I think he had a strong summer. How's that? Is that like, I don't know?
Yeah,
Is that too much?
Too
optimistic?
No, I mean, I like, from my perspective, I like seeing the aggressiveness that they're going to bring. But again, I worry about the pass rush. I really do. I mean, I think that, it's not my biggest worry. I mean, my biggest worry is just that there just isn't anything around Maye yet. I mean, if that's the realization that, like, man, we thought we had a couple things at least, and we don't even, maybe not even have those. But if you got beyond the Maye of it all, I think the worst is the defense. And just, are they going to be able to get after pass rusher without sending, 7 guys, sometimes 3 guys, other times. Can they just win with a 4-man rush consistently? I think that's going to be a stretch this year.
All right, let's get ready and listen to Gerard Mayo. The press conferences are presented by Microsoft Surface. A big thank you to our partner, Microsoft Surface, the official sideline technology provider and laptop of the NFL and the New England Patriots that provides players and coaches with the tools to succeed both on and off the field. Check out the new Surface Pro designed to keep up with you as the most flexible, most powerful 2-in-1 laptop and tablet out there at surface.com. Here's Gerard Mayo after the game.
Guys came out here and tried to compete. Anytime you have over 150 yards, that's just undisciplined football, and we just got to do a better job with that. My message to the team was, hey, look, they all count now. And so, go get your rehab and your preventative care and rest your minds, but it's time to go, and hopefully we're all on the same page going forward.
You talked earlier in the week about some guys we're going to play, we're not going to play, depending on overall health. What is it to play some of the guys who might be quote-unquote starters tonight?
We just played the guys that we thought needed to have more live action, and that's the way we approached it.
Was the plan for Jacoby to just play the first series, or was that as a result?
No, that was the plan. We were going to play Jacoby a series or two and get Drake in.
Would he have been able to play?
He would have been able to continue.
What's his health status right now? Is he?
I talked to him. Look, we'll see tomorrow. You always feel a little bit more sore the next day, but he said he was good. We'll find out tomorrow.
How concerned are you about the offensive line tonight?
I think it is a concern. I think the biggest concern for me, it's not the X's and O's of what to do. It's just the lack of discipline that they showed today, and that's on all of us. That's on me. It starts with me. I got to be more diligent in getting on those guys about pre-snap penalties, and the rest of the coaches have to do the same thing. But the players also have to take responsibility for those pre-snap penalties. Look, the referees, they did a good job. They warned us multiple times. We talked, then we got flagged, and they just kept on the flag because we didn't adjust. And one thing, I've learned around here is we'll do business as business is being done. And if you see them calling those type of plays, you got to self-correct and get better. So we just didn't do that tonight.
I feel like the offensive line has been a talking point throughout training camp. Why do you think there's been a lot of progress with that unit?
I mean, look, I tell the guys all the time. Every single day, we just have to get better. Obviously, we have to gel as a unit. That's one of those units where you got to be close on the field and off the field and build that trust, and it's a process that we're continuing to go through.
Heading into tonight's game, you had mentioned that you expected to have a decision on the starting quarterback decision, competition made by tomorrow night. Is that still?
Yeah. Look, I mean, that's always the goal. And as I always say, I reserve the right to change my mind. In saying that, look, we got to watch the film. We get in at 3 o'clock in the morning, so we'll see. We'll see if I can get through all the film on the plane.
Sorry about that. One of the starters who didn't see time today was Pop Douglas. He played a lot of snaps. Was that by design? You said one of those guys who needs a little bit more action.
Yeah, it was by design. Once again, guys that need live action. Same thing with Marcus Jones, getting them out there. Guys that need live action. That was the mentality going into the game, and I was happy to see him out there.
With Jacoby suffering an injury tonight, I think it just raises the possibility that if he's the starter week 1, that could happen in the regular season. Would Drake May play if Jacoby's unavailable?
I would like to sit here and say 100%. He's our second best quarterback on our roster right now.
So is that a yes or?
Next question. I'm not sure. I'm not sure until I watch the film.
Are you concerned about the offensive line if you had to put Drake in that situation?
Look, I'm not concerned about I'm concerned about every position. And then I would say Elliott and myself and the rest of the staff, our job is to always, look for better players. We'll be very active on the waiver wire. There'll be some good football players out there on the street. And, look, we'll try to get this team better.
What stood out to you about Drake's performance tonight?
Sorry?
What stood out to you about Drake's performance?
Yeah, I think he showed great poise. He went out there. His quarterback rating was 100 or something like that. He made plays. He looked like he was in control of the offense and did a good job for us. No, I don't have an update. He'll get an MRI at some point tomorrow.
Do you anticipate it being a little serious?
I'm not sure. I wish I could tell you. I'm just not sure.
Would the line's performance impact your decision on when to play Drake May? Would you be concerned about playing him behind the line?
We always say, look, the best players are going to play. No matter if it's a quarterback or an offensive line, it doesn't matter. We're going to play the best players.
How frustrating was it? I saw you after a series, I think, go over the offensive line after one who had the illegal formation. You seemed like you were demonstrative, pretty much pointing it out.
and then it happened to run again. How frustrating was that?
Yeah, it's very frustrating. And once again, it starts with me. I just got to get on those guys more in practice about some of that stuff. I think the most frustrating part was after you've been told that you have to move up, that they continue to line up the same way. I would say some of those calls, I mean, I don't know, but you look at the pictures and we were definitely deep.
You guys were told specifically about the illegal. That was the point of emphasis, the illegal formation calls.
Well, the point of emphasis, they always give you a warning, like the tackles are too far back and things like that. And we had those warnings and we didn't take heed, and they threw the flag.
Is the rule of thumb on that if the tackle's head is?
They line up off of the guards, and then I would also say, depending on who's out there reffing, they all see it a little bit different. Once again, the most frustrating part was this is how they're calling your alignment. Let's make those adjustments.
Aside from the decision, how gratifying has it been to see Drake make it tough on you?
Oh, it's been great. Once again, just his overall steadiness and being able to come into work every single day and get better. It's been great to see.
Did you have any awareness of anything going on with his hand? It just looked like he was kind of looking down at his hands every once in a while, Drake.
I'm not sure. I didn't see that.
Gerard, with 20 camp practices and 3 preseason games, how confident are you now going forward? It starts up 2 weeks from now, really getting your team ready for Cincinnati.
Yeah, look, we'll be ready to go. We're going to go into a hostile environment. We have things to work on. We're going to watch this film. We'll grade the film. We'll make roster moves and decisions as we see fit. And we're going to try to put the best New England Patriots team we can against Cincy. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, as a veteran of maybe many bad Patriot-looking games, dismal performances, and a lot of grunting and snorting and everything like that, I know we're only 3 games into the Gerard Mayo era, and it's preseason. He had a lot to say after that game that is really quite surprising. He was pretty candid. He was very candid about the penalties. He was very honest. Some of his comments about the quarterback situation. There's a lot to unpack here out of this press conference. It was only, 8 minutes or so,
Yeah,
Matt?
quick.
But there was a lot there.
I thought Mike had a good observation.
What was your reaction, Mike?
I just feel like you're starting to see Gerard Mayo realize what it's like to be a head coach, and he was fully, as we got into this, it's great, we're all getting along now, and hey, we got Drake Maye, and it feels good. Now it's, every game things happen, it's problems. I mean, I thought when he was talking about the tackles lining up off the line, it was agitated. Like, I mean, you're just starting to see him get a little frustrated, and
I like that, don't you?
He was agitated with his team.
Yeah.
Like
Yes.
that's
Yes.
he said, we watched the pictures. We looked at the pictures afterwards. They were deep. Like,
right.
So many times you've sort of seen a belligerence. Like, that's what they called.
Yeah.
That's what they call it when they call it like that. No, like, Gerard is telling you,
my idiot
they
team.
gave us a warning.
Like,
we didn't heed the warning, and then we looked at the pictures later, and they were deep.
Business is as business is done.
Yeah.
So I thought that was interesting that he was as critical. And listen, 10 penalties, 157 yards. There's not a coach in football anywhere that would accept that as the norm.
I find myself wondering what it all means, because the sloppiness has been a feature throughout camp, and I think early on I felt like it's camp, new offense, new coaches, the mistakes. It's a feature of this team right now, and you are who you are. And like I said earlier, what's this going to look like when they get into the game? Are they going to be, I'm struggling to see why they can't get the little things right, because it's not a talented team, and if they can't get the little things right, then how can they hope to really start to build?
Didn't Austin Hooper say that like week 1 of camp?
Yeah.
And that's a guy that's been around on
running
a bunch of different teams.
We can be a cross-country team, or we can be a football team.
Right.
I'd rather be a football team.
Right.
Yeah.
And the other thing that really caught our ears when we were listening to Mayo was Phil Perry's question directly about, Brissett got banged up tonight. If he's out, and I like the way Brissett what Phil asked the question, like, we know there's no question about who's starting. So if that were to happen opening weekend, and Brissett goes down, are you comfortable with Drake Maye playing? And
the answer
Gerard,
was
no. Like, I'd like to think that he's our second best quarterback. And then Phil Perry asked the follow-up, is that a yes? Next question. So I think that he's really weighing this. I think Matt's sort of theory about Bailey Zappi is probably still in play.
Yeah.
Like, there's a possibility that if it's not Zappi, it's going to be someone else, and then if it's someone else, it would have to be somebody with knowledge of the system.
Joe Flacco.
Because I'm not sure. I'm not sure they want to play Drake May. For him, if they feel he's ready, again, I would be playing him. Like, I would live with the mistakes and I'd be playing him. But I don't think they feel that way. And then B, do they feel like he's going to get protected to the point where you can have him out there safely?
Yeah, it was kind of eye-opening, I thought.
I thought
Gerard
it's funny
was kind
because
of eye-opening.
I saw
We're just
that.
not
I
used
saw
to it.
that answer. You wrote it down. The second best quarterback right now. I saw that on Twitter, but no one put to me, the follow-up was the telling part of that.
Absolutely.
When Phil asks, "Is that a yes?" and he says, "Next question," that's telling me that he's not definitively telling you that he would feel comfortable with May playing as the backup.
Yeah. Did you guys get the takeaway that all we're waiting for is a formality? Jacoby Brissett starting against Cincinnati. Is that a fait accompli?
Yeah, I mean,
did I read that right out of Mayo?
I mean, I felt that way all along. I think that's the direction we're headed in, unless there's a complete shock and they decide to just screw it. Let's go with the kid. But
the other part there,
Paul, do you feel the same way?
I do, but I want to just give a little caveat. Like, I did feel like there was a little bit of an edge to Mayo tonight that we haven't really seen yet.
Yep.
And Mike, I think, accurately said, yeah, I know everything has been great, and you're telling us how great, how transparent you are. Well, all of a sudden you have some things that maybe you don't necessarily want to get into and you don't find it as fun.
Yeah.
That's, kind of the way I look. I wonder if there's some trepidation on his part with Brissett's health. And, he says, fine, we'll see what it feels like tomorrow. Sometimes you're a little bit more sore the day after. I wonder if he has some reservation. What are we going to do? If this guy's not ready to go against Cincinnati, what are we going to do?
Yeah.
How am I not going to play May then? I think it's kind of clear to your point, Matt, that he doesn't want to play May yet.
He doesn't want to play May, and I think he pretty much said that, hey, yeah, he might be a little bit sore, but I think it's full steam ahead with Jacoby.
I agree.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing that he said, which I think, Paul, your eyes widened a little bit, I don't think the news on City So is very good.
I'm a little worried about the City So situation.
Yeah.
You said that Chris Price reported that he was in a walking boot. Mayo's talking about MRIs. MRIs are about ligaments and whatnot. Tendons.
That's not a high ankle sprain.
Yeah, it could be, but
Okay.
I think it could be. I think it could be more serious than that.
Yeah. I'd just say too, my point on Mayo. I like this coming out of him. Like, I think I was kind of ready to get out of the honeymoon phase. Like, I want him to face the challenges and to be that serious kind of perturbed guy. But at the same time, it's just, as you go forward, I can't help but see what Bill took from his first coaching experience in Cleveland and then what he took to here. And granted, he took it to the extreme, and I'd much rather listen to Gerard Mayo dance around these things. But you can see he has to dance, and how do I say this? And I mean, just to hear next question out of him felt like, like, I haven't really heard that before.
No
it's
question.
always like, it's always kind of.
I've heard that.
You from him, from Gerard?
Not from Gerard.
Oh, that's what I mean. I mean, you've heard.
I'm just saying from me.
Oh, you've heard from you heard Drew. Drew Bledsoe gave you the most famous next question of all time.
Drew, next question.
That's what I was gonna say.
855-PATS 500 is our number here. Let's go to Trent in Florida, who has been waiting patiently. Trent, you're on Patriots postgame show.
Hey, how are y'all doing? Thanks for taking my call.
Hey, Trent.
My concern is the defense going into week one after losing Baltimore and trading Judon. Do you think that we could see Uche or Jennings step up to pressure the quarterback in week one?
You better hope so, because I don't know who else is going to do it.
I tell you what, it's really incredible with all the talk on the offense, how little discussion has been put with the defense. And there's just an assumption out there that they're going to roll the balls out and everything's going to be great.
I mean, I don't have that assumption. I mean, I
do you feel like most people do?
I don't know. I mean, I almost just feel like it's more under the radar. And I mean, somebody was on the radio this week, and I don't even know, one of Paul's channels. You probably know who it was.
Paul's
Some
shows.
voice, one
Paul's
of these voices yelling at me. But they were like, "Oh, what do you think about the defense?" Well, I think can Kyle Duggar rise? I'm like, what? Like Kyle Duggar rise up to like be one of the top 10? Like, I don't care about that. Like, I mean, you have no pass rush.
I think was it Trent was the caller?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think he's right. Like, where do they turn to get some pressure? I think Uche's a guy that can get some pressure. I think
He's a
Jennings,
third down guy.
Jennings
only,
could
right?
be a blitzer, but he's not going to win as a pass rusher very often. But he could sort of take advantage of some opportunities as a blitzer and come free. But they're going to need to find ways. Daniel Akwale.
How about Keon White?
Keon White. Again, he's a power guy. Like, he's not going to beat you necessarily with any moves. Can they find a way to get enough pressure on the passer without having to sell out to do it? Now, so far in the summer, it looks like they need to kind of be creative to do it.
Yep. I mean, and I would, not to pitch him as the hope of everything, but I think Zimenez he's rushed in the league. He was part of Wink Martindale's, crazy defense with the Giants, which is blitz heavy. You just hope he has some swag, some moves to him. I mean, so many of these guys are just straightforward, and as I said before, I don't see the one-on-one pass rush winners. And so no matter how good of a season or bad of a season Christian Gonzalez and Jonathan Jones have, nobody's going to cover forever if these guys, can't get after the quarterback with four guys. It's going to be a long season.
And it's a test right out of the chute with Joe Burrow, presumably Jamar Chase, who was back practicing. Decent offensive line in Cincinnati. Hostile environment, as Gerard Mayo said. Not an easy test.
Nope.
Back to the phone lines. Bad Kevin is on the air next with Patriots Postgame Show. Hi, Kevin.
How's it going?
Good.
So the first thing that I've got is I'm a high school football coach, and I get that means absolutely nothing when it comes to the NFL. But one of my friends is one of our assistant football coaches, and he's a Kansas City Chiefs fan. And he has told me since April that we need to sit Drake Maye. And then it finally dawned on me that he is saying that because they had Alex Smith, not Jacoby Brissett, as the quarterback to get Patrick Mahomes ready. After watching tonight's game, I think Drake Maye, week 1, let's go. That's my first point. My second point is the points of emphasis thing. We listen to officials all the time in the preseason at the Illinois High School Association talking about what they're going to talk about, what they're going to do. And by week 3, nobody cares. I think our offensive line issues with the illegal procedures or illegal formations, I think that's something that's going to go away, especially when the top teams like the Bills or the Chiefs are doing the same thing and nobody cares. Those are just my thoughts. Thanks for taking my call.
All right, thanks, Kevin. You know what? He might be onto something as far as a preseason rash of flags. Like, I'm not trying to take him off the hook, and I think it's semi-embarrassing that they were repeat offenders. But maybe it was a point of emphasis. Maybe it does get drilled down to him in the preseason, and you get it, and you won't see that happen. But they're all of a sudden not going to turn into Anthony Munoz either.
Can I just say, like, they haven't had any of those in the first 2 games. If it was a point of emphasis, it was only the point of emphasis in the national televised game on the last one.
Yeah.
Like,
I might be looking for
I think that's kind
rainbows.
of wishful thinking on Bad Kevin's part. The other part, I mean, I'm in on Maye because I just don't feel like the alternative is there. And I would rather have him learn on the fly, and go from there. Now, I am not, and we've talked about this a little bit, I'm not a big, well, you can't put him in and then take him out. No, if you don't think it's safe that he's out there, if he's, you think he's under duress and you might be doing more harm than good, by all means, take him out. But at this point, I really don't see the offense succeeding without his ability to make plays like out of nothing, like he did tonight.
It's just hard when you're watching Jacoby Brissett and you're just waiting for Drake Maye, right? I mean, that's what you want to see, and I can't imagine what that's going to be like in a regular season game, being like, all right, come on, let's just get through this one. Like, I think if you were going into this game week 1 with Drake Maye as the starter, I'd be a lot more excited than, all right, well, let's see how it goes with Jacoby Brissett.
Certainly.
I mean, that's kind of how you feel going into it.
Right. And I'm going to get to an email here in a second, but I just, at the risk of putting on the Patriots glasses here, they haven't had a chance to game plan. We know they want to run. They've said they want to run. 2 tight ends, play action, stuff like that. Maybe before we consider this just a complete disaster, can we see them try to do some of that and see if it works before we see what's going on? Let's go to the email, and Emery writes, Kane Wallace was a top 75 pick who started 40 games at right tackle for a major college program. It's concerning to me that they resorted to bumping Wenu out of position again rather than starting Wallace against Washington's backups. Do you think it's worth just letting Wallace play and develop, Paul?
I mean, it's a similar question to Maye, kind of, in
Yeah,
a way.
it's different than Maye because of obviously not the stakes, but yeah, I think I'd keep saying, in a perfect world,
Maye's ready when you want to.
Wallace and Robinson are in the lineup, are in the starting lineup. Neither one of them looks ready to play. And I know the stakes aren't as high and the spotlight's not as bright because of obvious reasons.
Yeah,
it's not the same position.
It's not the same position.
But Robinson was getting pushed around tonight, and I do not think Wallace has really looked good at all. I don't know how you feel, Mike. I feel like, especially when he's on the left side, he gets beat wide very easily in practice. And he's getting penalties. He looks like he's having a hard time.
Yeah, I mean, he started out, I think, starting left tackle with initially maybe, and it's just kind of been a slow decline in snaps and in attention, and it doesn't even really feel like
I think the email makes a good point.
Yeah,
like,
I know, it's disappointing.
Owenu getting kicked out to right tackle in a preseason game when you knew the other team
Against
wasn't
their
playing
backups.
anybody, like that to me was that was telling.
Yeah.
Well, the story of the night appears to be Drake Maye. Let's go to the Drake Maye press conferences. The press conferences are presented by Microsoft Surface.
Just what was it like for you, kind of taking another step forward? It looked like tonight when you got out there.
Yeah, I think it felt good being out there. I think the biggest thing is just hurting ourselves offensively, stalling drives with penalties, and I got to get us out of the huddle probably faster. Other than that, had a snap on the ground, just little things like that. Got to clean up, but at the same time, it's a good learning experience for us, and get ready for when things are start counting. So.
Kind of wowed all of New England with that play that got called back, unfortunately, on that penalty. Take us through that play when you hit KJ.
Yeah, I think they went cloud. We kind of had a high-low concept to the left. I was trying to work backside and ended up getting outside the pocket, and I think it would have been close if I passed the line. It was definitely real close. I'm not sure what the TV copy looked like, but KJ just making a play, and Bummer got called back, but just the same thing, just hurting ourselves and in a 2-minute drive. Can't do that.
On that first drive you got in the game, go right down the field for a touchdown. What was working for you guys, you feel like, on that first drive?
Yeah, I think the guys are just doing their jobs. I think that's the biggest thing, executing plays that we practice all week. Finding guys, my job is to get the ball to them, and again, backed up and we had a snap, low snap, and probably should have caught it, and I think we were 2nd and 18 from there. Just can't shoot ourselves in the foot, little things like that. Against a good football team, like we got lucky tonight, so just got to start better.
How much different do you feel you are now as opposed to when this training camp started?
Yeah, I think it's been awesome training camp. Not only to get to see our defense, but to mix in other defenses and go out there and play and feeling like getting hit. I think we're getting there. I think it's been fun out there with some of the rooks. JP made some plays tonight. I'm sitting over there in the corner. Just get some of the rookies together, and Layden was in at right guard, so just kind of molding, kind of finding our groove. So it's been an awesome camp, and it's been it's been tough too. And our rookie season's been long. We've been going at it since before the draft. So just looking forward to getting to see what the NFL season's like.
Jake, it looks like you got jostled a couple times coming away from center. I think you got stepped on one time.
Yeah.
Can you tell us what was happening?
Yeah, I'm just trying to secure the snap. I gotta get out of there. But also, I think the big dude, the nose tackle, I think 91 was the number. He's a good player, so I gotta get out of there faster. And Nick's doing a heck of a job fighting in there, so could get away from center.
With the fumbled snap, what's the issue on that?
Yeah, I just think it's when you practice pregame and over on the sideline, it's a little different than when somebody's up there right against you. So we figured something out, and I think on the sideline after that first drive, and from there on, we were it just kind of it felt good. So.
Drake, on the completion to Jalen, just what did you see there on that play?
Yeah, just had a high-low crossing concept. JP did a nice job weaving through traffic, and try to give him a good ball and catch and run from there. So I think he does a nice job. Mixing up different spots with JP. Playing outside, inside, more inside at night, and does a good job of getting open. So my job is to give him the rock and let him do his thing.
Drake, would you feel ready to play week 1 if you were asked?
Yeah, I think I would feel ready. I think I'm ready for whoever this football team asks me, and ready to get out there and try to help us beat the Bengals week 1.
Drake, you mentioned getting in and out of the huddle. How much do you think you've improved in terms of operation, command of the huddle?
Yeah, I think, command the huddle is, a huge thing for quarterback. I think I'm getting there. Kind of trying to improve every week. I think, one thing on the sideline, one of the offensive linemen said I'd just go in there and speak real fast. I kind of do here in media too. Just got to slow down sometimes. Just hearing the play and kind of, look around and like I said, a little command of the huddle. But other than that, I feel like I have my eyes on the play clock well and just kind of, hurrying guys up to try to get to the playoff. So.
20 camp practices, 3 preseason games, kind of what have you learned now, basically, as you get ready?
Yeah, biggest thing probably learn is just next play mentality. You take whether it's a good play, bad play, play you wish you had back. Had a few of those tonight. Let's move on to the next play. It's the next play, type league. It's next week type league. In the NFL is what I'm learning. And other than that, just enjoy it. Have fun. It's sad, but the reality is some of these guys, especially these rookies, are going to be gone. Come next week, and just enjoy those days. With those guys, you're creating great memories and enjoy the times out here with the fellas.
Drake, when we were talking to MVP earlier last week, he mentioned just pre-snap, like the tools at your disposal, especially to handle like pressure and things like that. How do you feel like you've come along in that area?
Yeah, I think it's huge in this offense. Especially when we're not out here and preseason with some vanilla looks, especially pressure-wise. I feel like I'm a smart kid that can, did a lot of protection stuff in college. Me and my center was all on us, protection-wise, and I felt like we did a good job not having free runners, back there. But it's a different kind of league here now. They try to scheme me up, so definitely the tools, different tools to protect myself and really protect the offense. I feel like I'm getting there. I've done a few of them in practice, so trying to work through them and see different looks each week. So, thank you.
All right, that was Drake Maye with the media after the 20-10 loss to Washington tonight. I'll start with the takeaway. I think Drake shows a decent amount of poise there. Nothing seems to rattle him or anything. Yeah. I don't know that he says much. There was one thing I wrote down. Somebody asked him, I don't know who, you're intrepid, all your know-it-all buddies and everything like that. They asked him, would you feel ready to play if you were asked to start against Cincinnati? And Drake Maye said, I would feel ready to play.
Yeah,
I don't know what else you would say.
Yeah,
but
in the middle of the press, I just like him. He's a likable guy.
Yeah. He is. He's a good kid. I liked. Interesting hearing him talk about. I talk too fast in the huddle. I talk
too fast with y'all in the media too.
He talks too fast in the postgame.
Right. But no, he's a good kid. Look, it's. I think this year is going to be about Drake Maye setting a foundation both on the field and off the field, and learning how to play in the NFL and learning how to handle press conferences like this. And it's not an easy start for him. He's not getting a lot of help, and I think everybody's kind of focused on him being, like the guiding light of the team right now, and that's what we're trying to hang on to. But I just really want them to give him some support so he can make the most of this year, and it's not just a burnt year, whether he gets in early, gets in late, whatever it might be. This really needs to be a good year for him that he takes a lot from.
Another thing that I would say will endear him to his teammates. Couple of problems with snaps tonight. He's taking responsibility for him. He said the low, and I think he's right in this particular case. But I've heard a lot of guys not take accountability. I think he felt like he should have handled the low snap, and that one was more on Leverett. But I thought he should have handled it. Mm-hmm. And then it looked to me like the snap under center definitely came up, and he didn't handle it.
Yeah.
And he said it. I got to do a better job on that. Sometimes you're taking the snaps pregame, it's not the same as having a guy right up there on you. So, and he talked about it. Like these are drive killers right here. Like more than likely that play right there on 1st and 10 is ending that drive. Right?
Yeah. Correct.
Now you ended up, he scrambled on 3rd and 14 and was able to get a first down. I don't think you can live that way, and he knows it. He's already smart enough to know that.
All right, 20-10, the Patriots lose the preseason finale tonight against Washington. We're going to take a break. Be back with more of the Patriots postgame show. The Patriots postgame show is presented by DraftKings.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex Disc contours to it, so the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. better with Pepsi.
Without good blocking, your team's not going anywhere. Cisco blocks cyber attacks for customers around the world, including the entire Fortune 100 and the NFL. Because when the game is on the line, and it's always on the line, the NFL relies on Cisco.
It ain't my dad's razor, Dad.
Hey, watch it.
It's from Gillette Labs. This green bar releases trapped hairs from my face.
Game changer.
While the Flex, this contours to it. So the 5 blades can get virtually every hair in one stroke. For the ultimate Gillette shaving experience.
The best a man can get
is Gillette Labs.
By the time this Patriots fan is finished drinking his Pepsi, you'll be 15 seconds closer to game time. Patriots watching. Better with Pepsi.
You've got to watch your NFL team every Sunday, and Verizon's got you covered for all your team's out-of-market games every Sunday afternoon. Come on! From kickoff to sign-off, from first downs and touchdowns to turnovers and overturned plays.
After review, the pass was incomplete.
Nice! Let's go! This season, win every Sunday with Verizon. Get a great deal on NFL Sunday Ticket from YouTube and YouTube TV and a new phone. Excludes digital-only games. Terms and embargoes apply.
When someone accidentally threw away the school play costumes,
Oh no.
replacements were shipped with FedEx. And with picture proof of delivery, everyone could focus on the perfect opening night. FedEx, where now meets next. For residential delivery only.
Join the conversation by calling the Ace Ticket hotline at 855-PATS-500 or email the show at webradio@patriots.com. Live from our studios inside Gillette Stadium, here's Matt Smith.
Easy to drink, easy to enjoy. Bud Light, the official beer sponsor of the New England Patriots. We're back at the Patriots postgame show. You know, one of the things I think I like to see is on some of these musical rejoins, you see Matt Morrell bouncing up and down. I like the energy, big energy on the on some of these musical rejoins. Nice. Very nice.
It's all AI music.
It
is
okay.
AI.
Trey from Tampa has been waiting patiently. Let's go to the phone lines. Trey, you're next on the Patriots postgame show. Dude, you got to answer if you're there.
Trey, my guy.
All right. I think he's out. We gave him a shot. All right.
Bad connection.
Very important week coming up for the Patriots. They're going to travel back, as Coach Mayo said, 3 o'clock. They're going to try to grade the tape. Cutdown day is Tuesday. One of the Patriots' biggest charitable endeavors is on Wednesday, where the whole team required attendance. They present the Ron Burton Community Service Award on Wednesday. They'll get a couple of days off, as I think is mandated in the collective bargaining agreement, and they get ready to play the Cincinnati Bengals. What do you expect, Paul, this week to look like? What are the things that most interest you as this week rolls into it?
Well, I mean,
as we roll into this week.
Obviously, the roster cutdowns on Tuesday are always interesting, for everybody. But the thing I'm going to be most looking at is when they get back on the practice field, what we see out of Jacoby Brissett. Is he full go? Does he continue to be QB1, to use Mayo's term that I hate? Is he the starter? And is he getting all the reps? Is he physically ready to go? And that will tell us a lot. I don't know if Gerard's going to tell us what the decision is. I'm sure he'll have that decision by, say, Monday night.
He indicated that, in all likelihood, I think he said that they expect to name a starter Monday night. Do you expect that or no?
I think the next time, he's going to probably talk to us tomorrow morning.
Virtual tomorrow morning.
So then we don't talk to him again until Wednesday.
He'll do WEEI, I believe, on Tuesday.
Yeah, I don't think he'll announce it on WEEI, but stranger things have happened. This
Right.
is a new era.
Yeah. Right. Mike Paul mentions the cutdown day on Tuesday, and I know we touched on this a little bit in the pregame show. Can we pump the brakes for Patriot fans out there who think that Tuesday is going to be the day when manna falls from heaven and all of a sudden Anthony Munoz is going to drop in their lap?
No,
because that's not going to happen.
No, but I was going to say, before you even teed this question up, I think new faces. I think, how much do they really believe in these guys? Do they, believe 100% in, what they've been telling us, that if Adarian Lowe keeps playing, that, and I'm not saying that the answers are out there, but I think it would at least give you some sense of where they think their problem areas are, or where their depth isn't quite good enough. Of course, those things are all dependent on who gets released. You can't manufacture players like that, but I would expect, I think, by the time we get out there on Wednesday, that there could be at least, practice squad aside, I'm sure there'll be a bunch of new faces, but I bet there's maybe a couple of new players on the 53-man.
As many as 2 or 3, don't you think?
I do. I would say offensive, defensive line are probably the spots.
Okay. Paul, Mike and I think, were surprised a little by this person tonight as we try to look at, people who might be ball out on the bubble, Mike Dussault kind of people. Hasty tonight. You thought he had made the team. He didn't do anything tonight to make you think any differently.
No, I thought he played well. I think that he looks like a guy that's very comfortable catching a lot of passes. So to me, you have to have. I mean, I'm like a running backist. You guys all know that.
You're for him or against him?
I'm against him.
Oh, okay.
Right, but
you and the rest of the league.
Right. But even stubborn guys like me would have to say, but you have to have some.
Yeah, right.
Right.
Like, you can't just have Ramondre Stevenson and Antonio Gibson and say, well, that's it. So I think Hasty is pretty. I would be surprised if he's not a lock.
And you like Hasty over Harris?
Yeah. I think he's
Mike?
more versatile.
Yeah, I do too. And I mean, I would ask maybe the guys in the back to cook up maybe a couple Terrell Jennings highlights, perhaps, because I thought again.
That's digging deep.
He ran hard. I mean, 6 carries, 36 yards along. They had a 13 run. I mean, he runs hard. He broke a ton of tackles in college. You talk about things I want to see this week. I want to see him get to the practice squad. I want to see them hang on to this kid. You know how injuries can be at the running back position. But, I like how he moves. I like how he runs. I think he's an all-around interesting back.
He's got a good lean.
Like to keep him around.
Good lean, Mike.
Good lean. I like it. See, look at him dragging guys. I mean, how can you not? That's what this last preseason game is about. It's about players like this dragging other players and making their case for a roster spot.
Different body type maybe than some of the other backs? Do you think?
I think he's
big.
Yeah, he's big.
Okay.
I mean, he's a good mix of
I like Jennings. I like Jennings too.
It's one of those ones where there's not a lot. He's had some pretty good runs in the preseason, but it's not like I can sit there and tell you, oh, every day in practice he's getting mop up reps. He's not really visible, but he just continues to catch my eye. So I don't know. Maybe he'll be out of the league by Wednesday, but I think he has done enough in my
I don't think he'll be out of the league. I think if he doesn't make it, I think he'll end up on a practice squad.
Hasty and Jennings ahead of Harris? Is that how you would grade it?
No, I probably would give Harris the edge on experience, but I think Jennings has had a nice camp. I think he's been exactly the way Mike talked about him, pretty much all camp.
Just little flashes.
He doesn't get a lot of opportunities with frontline players, which is why I would put Harris ahead of him.
Yeah.
Okay. Then the other big one.
And Harris made a nice play tonight in the touchdown too.
Really
I don't
nice
want to
play.
sell him short.
Really nice play. The other one that I think has caught the fans' attention, is the media's attention, the entire camp and everything like that, is the kicker. Did anything happen tonight to move you off the spot that you might have been in, Mike, as to who's going to be the Patriots kicker when they play the Bengals?
No, I still think it's Joey Sly by a hair. I mean, I think if he hit that last 60-yarder, I don't know. You guys left the room when we were
124 yards of field goals. And he missed them both. But
yeah, no.
I mean, I'm not sure that was anything. I think he's had the better camp.
Yeah, I mean, if Ryland had missed that short one that he hit, that might have really cemented it.
Made the decision easier.
Yeah, I think that's why they gave him that one.
Yeah.
From a confidence standpoint?
No, like if he misses this one, I'm not going to give him a 64-yarder that if he misses, it's not really fair, but I'll give him a 38-yarder. He's kicked, I think, all the extra points.
Yeah.
Right?
You weren't here, Paul, when I brought this point up, and I'd like to bring it up in front of you because I'd be curious your opinion. I feel like there's a little bit of an unknown with this, with how they feel about how those two guys do kickoffs. We've seen a lot of different kinds of kickoffs. Is it possible that one of those guys has an edge in the kickoff that we're not even really aware of because we're not paying attention to it?
I think that's completely out of the window now because you're trying to kick it in that
target zone.
Was it target area?
Yeah.
The landing zone.
Yeah,
right. Whatever they call it. Right. The landing zone. Just so maybe some of our listeners don't catch all the minutia. There's been sort of a groundswell of, well, you need your kicker to be a tackler now. Gerard Mayo basically summarily laughed at that question.
As he should have.
That was asked. And will it have any bearing, on the decision? No, it won't.
But just in terms of I was making more.
You're talking about the kickoff itself, but I just think
we've seen some different weird kicks. Some, it's on the.
But you're just kicking it into the landing area now. So maybe it does.
I'm not
dismissing you.
I was asking you too. I don't know.
I'm not dismissing you. I just feel like if you were saying there's an emphasis on touchbacks, and one guy had a bigger leg, I'd say yeah. But I think now the emphasis is landing it inside the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
I think anybody. This is kind of like. The ability to throw a football 60 yards, I think everybody in the world can do. In the NFL can do it. It's how fast does it get there? Joe Milton separates himself from the rest of the world in that regard. I think every kicker can get the ball inside the 10-yard line.
Yeah. Well, I'm imagining, like Gerard coming out on like Wednesday, and like, of course we kept both kickers because Chad he's been so versatile with the kickoffs, and everyone will be like,
of course that's what's going to happen because of what I just said.
What? Everyone, no one's talking about that. But
for the entire training camp, it's been hush hush, don't look here. Media shut the cameras off because we have to go through these special team periods. I just wonder that maybe to justify their jobs, that special team coaches have been working on this since March, that week one they're going to have that all the teams are going to have something exotic, and then when they figure out that it really doesn't matter, is it week two that they all get boomed into the end zone?
Well, Collinsworth and Tirico were all over that tonight. We're going to see some different things. I think it's a complete directive from the league to try to prop up this new kickoff. We're trying to tell you how dynamic it is, and I agree with you, Matt.
Yeah.
I think if it becomes a problem for teams to cover, and I'm not dismissing the possibility that could happen. It's a different coverage. If it becomes a problem, then everybody's just going to go for the touchback anyway.
Yeah. And so when do we see that by? How many weeks
if
are
it
they going
becomes
to allow
problem?
the dynamic kickoff? 2, 3?
Ooh. Oh, I think it could go 17 weeks if it doesn't become a problem.
Okay.
Like, if you can go down and kill guys like they were tonight, like, I think there was the only kickoff I think that got beyond the 25 tonight was the last one.
Yeah.
When the game was over.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I think both teams' returners were getting routinely knocked down early. So like if it's not a problem, just keep doing this.
All right, as we're watching some of the highlights, and great job by the guys in tape to play this stuff literally on cue as we're doing it. Wallace is a returner. Wallace has had a nice couple of bumps during camp. He's not going to make the team, right?
I know. I mean, I don't think so. No.
A nice little story. Does he have a shot to get to the practice squad?
Well, I mean, no one's going to claim him, I wouldn't think.
Okay.
I mean, if you wanted to put him on the practice squad, I think you could.
Has he got any developmental ability? I mean, do you think he looked at the coaching staff sees enough in him and say, I'd like to work with this kid?
Yeah, I think that he's the kind of guy that you want on your practice squad because I think he has an incredible motor. I think he's going to be willing to do whatever you want.
Okay.
I think he's going to be versatile and be able to fill a number of different roles. My only reservation would be, like, he's made a mark as a returner. Even the last return tonight was pretty good for him as a kickoff returner. Do you want him returning kicks over Marcus Jones?
No.
Would you even want him doing it over Jalen Reagor?
I don't know about that. I know you guys are high on Reagor.
I'm not. But he's a better returner than that.
I'm not sure about that.
I don't.
Well, I mean, just the fact that he took one in the NFL for a touchdown last year, like, tells me he's better than that.
I don't see a lot there. I think he's quick, but that's about it. And you can find quick guys.
I think Wallace has had a nice little preseason. I don't know if that's enough to get him a job on
I think he's had and I say this with all the love and respect, I think he's had a horrific camp.
Oh, okay.
He's had good returns in every game.
Yes.
He's had at least one really good return in every game. He's dropped a boatload of passes and punts in practice every day, right up until the last one that I saw, which was Thursday. He like double caught, dropped, misjudged. He gets in the game, and he's like Jimmy Garoppolo. Remember Jimmy Garoppolo's rookie year, Mike?
Yeah,
well, you weren't here yet, but
like
Jimmy Garoppolo's rookie year looked like, oh, man, this guy is light years away. Then all of a sudden he got on the preseason field, and he was dropping touchdowns into the bucket. Remember that pass down the side? Same place, by the way, in Washington.
Right.
Dropping dimes all over the place, and I was like, wow, this guy's like game day Garoppolo. Maybe that's David Wallace.
All right, so let's get to some final thoughts, Mike. What are you looking for as the biggest takeaway as we head into this week prior to the Labor Day weekend and getting ready for the Cincinnati Bengals? What's the biggest thing that you are going to keep your eye on?
I don't think it's sexy, but health. I mean, I think Vidarian Lowe, Jacoby Brissett, City So. Three significant pieces, and not to mention, the O'Shane Zimenez's of the world, the Josh Uches of the world, the guys that you're going to need to rely on against Cincinnati. How healthy are those guys? How ready are they to go?
Paul?
Yeah, I think Mike has it. I'm just going to say I'm going to continue to watch the obvious and Brissett and Maye.
Because I think
how those practice reps are divvied up. I'll be curious to see what
obvious for a reason.
The boys, what the boys are telling us. Now, I don't know if
we're not going to see it.
I don't know how much we'll see.
We're going to see warm up, or we'll see stretching. That's probably it now.
But I would think that maybe you'd see a little of the walkthrough period, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, that'll do it. Puts a wrap on the preseason. Patriots finished the preseason 1-2, and they finished 1-2 with a 20-10 loss to Washington tonight. For the great Matt Morrell, Paul Perillo, Mike Dussault, Tamara Brown, I'm Matt Smith. The next time we join you in the pregame show
For reals.
will be for real when the Patriots travel to take on the Cincinnati Bengals on September 8th. Have a great night, everybody. Thanks for watching, and thanks for listening.
Thank you for downloading this podcast. Subscribe on Apple, Google Play, and everywhere else you listen. Like the show? Please rate and review us. Listener comments and ratings help keep us high in the podcast rankings so new listeners can find us. Be sure to check Patriots.com for more news and more podcasts.